Today we have an exciting topic, something I want to share that's probably near and dear to most of us as believers. We are called to be imitators of Christ. And in imitating, we are the hands of Christ, the feet of Christ, the voice of Christ. And today we're going to focus mostly on helping and being compassionate. But what happens when helping you is hurting me? Jen here. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I think many of us can relate to. And this topic is focusing on when helping you is hurting me. As believers, we know that we're called to be imitators of Christ. And Jesus, when he walked this earth, he was known for his many works. He helped many people. But we also know he did not and he could not help everyone. How many times do we find ourselves in position, whether we willingly jump into it or everyone knows us as the go-to person and they call us to help for everything, and we put on that rescue robe and that rescue cape and we just jump right in and we're doing everything we can. And actually, we have honestly helped many people and they've thanked us and they've been appreciative. But how many times have we also said yes to things that we really didn't want to say yes to? Or we said yes and we helped the person, but then we were so exhausted, so depleted of energy, sometimes of finances, because we many times are jumping in financially or emotionally. They're going on with their lives, but we're still holding on to that emotional baggage or dealing with the finances. Or what if all of that was fine, but it was something that was taken away from our own families? Because every time we give something out, something was also removed from our resources as well. So I want to talk about when helping you is hurting me. And today, let me just ask you, when was the last time that you would really feel like you helped someone, you were happy to do it, but truthfully, reflectively, you did take a time and take a moment to think, wait a minute. Or maybe you weren't the one that realized you were too far. Maybe it was your spouse, your kids, or close friends or parents. Someone else said, you're just getting in a little bit too much and a little bit too often. Or maybe it was the Holy Spirit himself said. Because here's the challenge. When we're jumping in helping people, first of all, we have to realize, are we really helping people? Because sometimes we're hurting them when we're thinking we're helping them. And how are we hurting them? Well, let's say God is using the experience, because we know the way of the transgressor is hard, and our love and our compassion, we never want to see anyone suffer. We don't want to suffer, and we want to fix it. We want to help, especially if we know, but I have the capacity, I have the means, so I want to jump in and just be Christ-like. But remember what I said earlier in the beginning. Jesus walked this earth. He healed many, but nowhere do we read that everyone was healed and everyone was ministered to and everyone he did not. But let me ask you a question in a moment. I want you to think about it for a second. Because we most know the story of the prodigal son, the quick version. He inherited the wealth. His father gave him his portion of his wealth. He went out, he lived, he partied, he had a great time just having fun. But then he depleted the resources and found himself the king's son, so to speak. But he found himself living in a pig pen. Then we know the story of the Samaritan. There was someone alongside the road, needed help. The Samaritan, many people walked right past this person that needed help, but not the Good Samaritan. He actually helped and housed the person. He extended so much help for the person, which was good. We can applaud that story. Now, question, what would have happened to the prodigal son if a Good Samaritan came along? Think about people in your own life that you're helping, and especially those that you help on multiple occasions that just like, wow, we're helping this person, but they seem to get in the same position again. What would have happened if this person that's in your life is on their prodigal son journey, so to speak, and God is trying to draw them, even using some of these hard moments in their life, but we come along, the Good Samaritan, because we're Christians and sometimes we're torn, but I see a need, and the word also tells us to meet the need. But you know what? What we're going to have to do is slow down. Like the question I asked you, what would happen to the prodigal son if the Good Samaritan came along? Pause for a second and think, what really would have happened? Let me just play with some scenarios. So, prodigal son found himself in a pig pen. Good Samaritan comes along, helps him out, gets him a job, take him back home, and take him to his home, gets him established. So the prodigal son is going about living his life because life is good now for the moment. But the father's like, I'm waiting for my son to come home. How many times is Jesus maybe waiting for some of our loved ones and our friends and neighbors to come home, but we keep interrupting the process? And it doesn't always mean in terms of salvation. Maybe there's lessons the person needs to learn financially. They're constantly spending their resources. They're constantly not operating in wisdom, but we keep bailing them out when wisdom is trying to get them to get financial principles so they don't keep revisiting the same issues. But here we come, prodigal son with the financial rescue cape on, and we bail them out. Sometimes, and it is hard to see people suffer the consequences of their actions, but we're not helping them when we are enabling, because many times, even our own life, it's been those hard road experiences when we bumped our heads a few times, when we touched the hot stove and realized I shouldn't do that. So, what I'm going to say to you, let's take a moment when we see that moment to help, because I'm not saying let's don't help. I'm not saying let's just, I better stay out of people's life. I'm not talking, because some people, you're not quick to help people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking to the ones that you really are known to help. You do jump in and you love to help. But now let's pause for a moment. Listen and find out what the real need is. Because if it's financial, we think real quick, I just need to pay the bill for you. But what's that the deep need? That's the immediate need. That's the surface need. Obviously, if I go to the hospital, I'm bleeding. The first thing they want to do is stop the bleeding, but that's not what's going on. They have to get to the root cause. And it's not always our position to get to the root cause, but know your role in that person's journey, their prodigal son, to whatever it is they need: salvation, financial restoration, healing, whatever it is. Know your role, if any. Maybe your role is to pray and to be that support, but listen for God. He may tell you, yes, help them out, pay the bill, provide the resources, provide them a place to stay. Yes, make the road easier so they can make a godly decision. But the point is, the key is not so much in looking at my purse, do I help, looking at my time or whatever, as much as listening to what is the Holy Spirit saying, what really is help, and then moving in that capacity. Because the times that you and I don't do it and we just jump in so quickly, it's costing us. So now I helped you, but I hurt me. And maybe that hurt was I took away from time with my family. Now they're angry and upset. Or I took away from my time with God, even. Or I took away from finances that maybe I didn't have, but I gave it to you. Whatever that looks like, but it's hurting me in some capacity. Maybe it's just depleting me emotionally, because now I'm walking away feeling depressed and feeling sad and don't know how to shake that off, because I didn't take in consideration when I pray, I also have to know how to release. And yes, we know there's a sacrifice that's involved anytime we're helping someone, anytime we're doing anything, because we learn in school the opportunity cost, meaning if I do something over here, it costs me something else over there. And that's okay. That's our life. That's how it is. You're not gonna fill up over here and fill. If I pour a glass of water from this cup into another cup, now this cup is full, but this cup is empty or near empty. That's just how this goes. And because you and I have limited resources, we have limited time, we have a limited capacity to even help others. It's going to be so important that we slow down, pause, and ask God, what is really help? Now, you don't have to go into deep chant and fasting on everything, on most decisions, but we do have to avoid these knee jerk, let me just come in and rescue. Because the other side of it, we also have to understand, why am I always the one that just jump in? Is it always a heart filled with compassion? Because I'll tell you, when we sit back and examine, there are times we're helping people, but we have to make sure, are we doing it because it's truly a God-given desire and inspiration and really the leading of the Holy Spirit, or is it our need to be needed? And we have to be honest, that's the real thing. Sometimes we just have a need. I want to be needed. I love when people come to me. It has a certain amount of self-glorification, although we may not call it that, but it's that. But let's say, if we pause, and I'm going to give us all the benefit of the doubt to say it's love. We're doing everything sheerly out of the place of love and being an imitator of Christ. Then it's going to be important that we slow down, get that direction and discernment from the Holy Spirit. What is help? What is my role, if any, in helping the individual or the organization or whatever it is? What truly is help, so that I am not the good Samaritan in the prodigal son's life, delaying his process to the Father, and so that I am not hurting me while I'm trying to help you, that I am not enabling you, delaying your process of whatever that deliverance may be, financially, healing, whatever. We can fill in those blanks. But then also that I'm not being controlled or manipulated in any kind of capacity myself or from others or from outside. And we have to remember, Satan, he knows our weaknesses and he knows our strength, and he will play on them. So I'm going to encourage you and myself and each of us who really want to be followers of Christ and imitators of Christ, pause and make sure we truly are imitating Christ. And remember this: Jesus walked this earth. He did not help everyone. He did not heal everyone. He did what the Father showed him and told him what to do. And I think we need to pause in our growth and process of being imitators of Christ to remember, pause, seek the Father, seek the will of God, and then move forth, so that when I'm helping you, I'm not hurting me, and I really am helping you to whatever that is you need help. And I'm also not getting in the way of God doing what he's doing in his life, in that individual's life. And that way, helping you will not be hurting me.